Hello, this is D and I'm back with another video. Well, this morning I came across a very interesting story over at Gamasutra.com. Now, as usual, I'll leave a link in the description down below so you guys can click on this article for yourself. Now, it's entitled Inside the Next Xbox, Project Scorpio and its brand new dev kit. Now, they've basically snagged an interview with Microsoft where they've got exclusive specs and pictures. So it's basically exclusive coverage on Project Scorpio, the dev kit. Now, as you can see the pictures here, it kind of does look like an Xbox One S, but of course we know that the end result is not going to look like that. I'm pretty sure it's going to look a lot different. Now, this is a very long read, so I really recommend that you guys click on the link and actually see the article for yourself because it goes into great detail, and I'm just basically going to be skimming over the article here. Now, it says the limits and comforts of having a single device to target are gone. In their place, developers who make games for Xbox must now think like a PC game developer, building their games to scale across at least two significantly different hardware configurations. All of this is important because Microsoft is making a show of avoiding the compatibility problem entirely. The pitch to game developers, according to Xbox software engineers, is that you don't have to do anything to your existing or future Xbox One games to get them running better on Scorpio. They just will. You can write the original set of Xbox One requirements that we have today, and we'll do the work to make sure that it actually runs better. But developers don't have to do any custom work for Scorpio. We're just inviting people to come in and take advantage of it. Now, this is incredible that developers are not going to have to do extra work. You know, that's going to leave them a lot more time to improve the game on the system instead of having to worry about getting it up and running. Now, I have to say I'm really excited about Project Scorpio and the potential that it has. Now, they say the same goes for the new Project Scorpio dev kit, which Microsoft says is basically an Xbox One dev kit upgraded to benefit for a couple of years of technological progress or developer feedback. It differs from the Scorpio console and it will appear on store shelves in a few ways, but in order to dig into them, we should first talk about the retail specs of Scorpio. Now, as publicized, we all kind of know the specs right now. They're running a custom 8-core CPU, clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. We know that it has 6 teraflops of performance. We know that the CPU is 31% improvement over Xbox One S. And we also know that it's more efficient. Now, they say it's a lot more efficient, the console's GPU in Scorpio. They said what they did is they improved the GPU to CPU coherent bandwidth. So the bandwidth between the CPU and the GPU is drastically improved as well. Now, the net result of this is that not only does the CPU clock faster than it does in Xbox One, it's actually more efficient than the one in both Xbox One and Xbox One S. So there you have it again from the horse's mouth, from Microsoft themselves, saying that they tuned the CPU in Project Scorpio. We already know that it's custom. We already know that there's an actual hardware Dx12 chip there to help with the draw calls from the CPU to the GPU. And we're hearing that Microsoft drastically improved it. So there's no denying that Project Scorpio is going to be a beast. The CPU in it is going to be highly efficient, and you know, if Forza is running at 4K 60 frames per second, I don't think we need to worry too much on the CPU. Now, they go and talk about the GPU. Now, they say the GPU in question sports 40 customized compute units at 1172 megahertz, but the Scorpio dev kits will actually ship with a bit more power. They have 44 CUs rather than 40. At a high level, it's much easier for a game developer to come in higher and tune down than come in lower and tune up, or just nail it. Now, the Scorpio dev kit is a bit beefier than its retail counterpart. Our overreaching design principle was to make it easier for developers to hit their goals: 4K textures, rock steady frame rates, HDR, wide color gamut, and spatial audio. What's more interesting about the Scorpio console itself is that, according to Microsoft, it is designed to incorporate basic oft-used DirectX 12 draw calls into the GPU command processor itself, potentially freeing up some processing power for developers. It's the first time I'm aware of any of us doing something like this, he said. We actually pulled some of the Dx12 runtime components directly into the hardware. So basically, these high frequency Dx12 draw calls you'd normally call out to the frame, for example, would take up a lot of GPU and CPU cycles. Now that it's baked into the system itself, it makes the system significantly more efficient. Now they really dig into Project Scorpio Dev Kit's specifications here, and they go on to say for starters that the kit sports a real-time clock and battery backup, as well as an OLED screen with navigation buttons on the front of the box and 5 programmable buttons. Now we've all heard about this dev kit, so now we're finally getting an image of it. Now this is actually what the kit looks like. So you can see that it has the OLED screen on the bottom there, and it's actually displaying useful data like the frames per second, so that's really good for developers. Now they go on to say the kit has exactly the same ports down to the HDMI in jacks as a retail Scorpio, as well as an additional 3 front-facing USB ports and an extra network interface card for transmitting debug information while running a multiplayer game. Now they say the kit now also vents from the back and sides rather than the top to make it easier for developers to stack Scorpio dev kits without running into problems or having to build weird spacers out of office supplies. Now as you can see here, they have a whole bunch stacked. I don't know why the developers would want them stacked, but I guess they must run multiple tests at one time, and I guess, I don't know, it's the way they do it. I'm not quite sure. Anyhow, they say it's also more powerful than the retail console. It has 44 CUs on the GPU instead of 40, and 24 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, that's double the retail's 12 gigabyte, and a 1 terabyte solid state drive in addition to the retail console's 1 terabyte hard drive. Now Microsoft's pitch to developers is consistent here. Build your games big, 4K native textures, and then tune them down to run on Scorpio and other Xbox Ones. So this is excellent news. I really like what Microsoft is doing for developers here. They're creating so many tools, they're making their job a lot easier, and it's very interesting to see the specs of the Scorpio dev kit. It is quite beefy indeed. Now before I let you guys go, I'm gonna read one more part of this article here. Now Microsoft said they wanted the best versions of games people want to play to be running on their platforms. Now they said this is why they created Scorpio, and until Scorpio they had nothing to do this. Now that Scorpio is coming out, they will be able to fill that gap. So Microsoft, they're going for the throat. They want to have the best versions of multiplats on their system. They want to have the best looking games on their system. They are going for broke with Project Scorpio, and honest to tell you, I cannot wait. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think, so please leave your comments down below. I ask you guys to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.